Welcome back. Let's bring in the young persons and young people into this conversation as far as June 12th, Democracy Day that we're celebrating across the country is concerned. They are the custodians of the future and they are the successor generation. And it's always important to bring them to the table to have a seat and make their own contribution to national development. We've been joined for now by Mr. Randy Peter. Yes, that's what we'll call him. Mr. Aka himself is an advocate for New Nigeria. He's at the vanguard of campaigning for electoral reform and fix INEC. Mr. Peters, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me. An absolute pleasure, sir.
I can see the new look. It's been consistent these days in terms of your comradeship, because this is a serious business. Maybe you help us with reflecting on what you think or know about what this day means to you and by extension to young Nigerians.
Thank you very much. I mean, June 12th, the question that all of us as Nigerians must ask ourselves is, what is the significance of this day? Why do we celebrate June 12th? Democracy Day in Nigeria used to be May 29th, but it was moved to June 12th by the former President Muhammadu Buhari. And the question we must ask ourselves, as I have rightly said, is why June 12th? Because we felt that an election took place that was seen to be free, fair, and credible. But the unfortunate reality of Nigeria is that we must ask ourselves the question, is Nigeria truly a democracy? Because if Nigeria is a democracy and we are interested in symbolizing it by celebrating it yearly, so why are we not committed to the same action that made us choose June 12th as a day to mark Democracy Day, which is free, fair, credible, and peaceful election, which is supposed to be the hallmark of every democracy? So is Nigeria truly a democracy, or it is a democracy that is led or not led by Democrats? So that is the situation where we find ourselves, where Nigerians today are still struggling to find out what exactly is the meaning of democracy. How well has it benefited us? How strong are the institutions of our democracy? What exactly have the young persons been able to benefit in terms of, institutional reform, the trust and in law enforcement, in the judiciary, the kind of educational systems we have, the health infrastructure that is available, the economy as it is. But most importantly, the ability for young people to choose their leaders in a free, fair, and credible manner, which is the hallmark of every democracy. So Nigeria needs to answer that question.
All right, let's also bring in our second guest on the program, who is also a young person joining the panel, Kemi Asekun, media consultant and member of the All Progressives Congress, joining us virtually. Kemi, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
It's a pleasure to be here. A very good morning to you and happy Democracy Day, Nigeria. June 12th is a very important day in our democracy.
Just hold on, Kemi, just a moment, so that I can throw in my question. So I know you're already trying to respond to the question of June 12th, but my question will be, from where you sit, that's very important to me, because you cannot give what you don't have. What does this day mean to you as a young person? And if you're reflecting, what are you really reflecting on?
Okay. What does this day mean to me? June 12th means to me that finally we have a democracy and a foundation to build our democracy on. The oldest democracies in the world that are doing well today, some of them are centuries old. And when you look at the other forms of government, you would realize that whether we like it or not, democracy is still the best form of government, because it affords everybody who is willing to put forth who they would want as their leader. Some people may say that democracy is the tyranny of the majority, but the truth about it is there are places in the world where how you feel or what you feel about the current leader that you have will not be taken into any form of context. All you have to do is do whatever it is that they ask you to do, and then life goes on like that. We had that in the military during the military reign in Nigeria, before we had this democracy, where you could even be afraid to talk about somebody sitting beside your friend because you don't know who is who. Today, there is freedom of speech, even though I personally think that it is being overused, because there is there must be responsibility after speech. But today, everybody can say whatever it is that they would like to say without the fear that they will get missing at any point. That is the blessing of what a democracy does. However, sometimes people look forward to having a magic wand, that changes everything. Unfortunately, democracy is what we all must build. And that is why, as a young person, I encourage other young people, regardless of which party you decide to pitch your tent with, if we're going to make Nigeria a better place and make our democracy stronger than it is right now, young people have to get involved. And the only way to get involved in a democracy, right, actively, is by joining a political party. So people will say that politics is dirty and they want to stay outside of politics, but then you want to blame the politicians for being inside. And that's where we have problems as young people. Let us come together. Let us join the political parties that fit our ideals, and let us understand that there is no magic wand coming to fix this democracy for us. There is no angel coming to, there's no angel coming to fix this democracy for us. Neither will there be a magic wand that changes everything. If we must have a country to bequeath to our children and those yet unborn, right, we almost put in the work. And it's not about being angry at the government, the present day government, right? As it is, the leader of our party will say that power is not served a la carte. You need to put in the work. You need to get into the fray. Speaking outside, will not do anything for anybody. We all need to get involved. And that is how we will build this democracy. So what does June 12 mean to me? June 12 for me is that day that Nigerians rejected the military completely and understood that for us to move our nation forward, we have to have a democratic government where we have a say in who is in power. Am I happy at the democracy that we have today? Well, it's not yet Uhuru, but I'm glad that for the first time in several years, since June 12, we have some of those who fought against the military in power, and they're doing the bits and the best that they can. The light at the tunnel may seem very far away, but at least we can see a glint. And so for me, I'll say we're a work in progress, a young democratic nation, and we're building towards something.
Did say at the beginning of the program that the biggest value of democracy, which is liberty, cannot be preserved without knowledge. And speaking of knowledge, we're celebrating Democracy Day today, and the biggest symbol of democracy is MKO Abiola. And ahead of 2023, the All Progressives Congress was criticized for plagiarizing or copying and pasting Hope 93 manifesto of MKO Abiola. Randy, I'm coming to you with this now before I take you to Kemi. What do you see in the workings of the implementation of this administration's Hope 93 agenda that bears semblance to the gains of the democracy that MKO Abiola fought for and wanted to implement with Hope 93?
Thank you very much. In fact, it is a very beautiful way to reference, because we have persons in power today who at some point were freedom fighters and standing for democracy. But if you want to know the actual state of where they stand in terms of implementing what Hope 93 should mean and what June 12 should signify, let us throw a challenge to the current president of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the Senate president to come out clearly in Nigeria today and make a broadcast that I, President Tinubu, believes in free, fair, credible, and peaceful elections, and that come 2027, I am working to reform INEC to ensure that the will of the people will prevail. Because the significance of June 12, 1993, as my colleague or my co-guest has rightly said, was that the people rejected the military and decided to take destiny in our own hands, meaning power is supposed to be vested in the people, and then we begin to have checks and balances. But today, as we see in Nigeria, we almost have a situation where the legislative arm of government seems like a subordinate to the executive arm of government. There is absolute distrust in the judicial arm of government. For 2 consecutive years, when the president goes to submit his budget, the National Assembly welcomes him with his political mantra, on their mandate they shall fall or sit. So we have a situation where the principles of checks and balances that should exist in a democracy are completely eroded, fighting the corruption that should be the bane of the day have been pushed to the side. And in the words of one former national chairman, when you come to our party, your sins are forgiven. There is almost no opposition party as it is today in Nigeria, and it's almost impossible to register a new one. So every politician and everybody wants to defect to the ruling party. In fact, the current Senate president was quoted to have said that as at 2027, there may be no opposition in his own state. So you now ask yourself the question, what exactly was Hope 93? What are the templates to implementing and getting a democracy that is viable? Is it a democracy without opposition? What is the opposition in the home state of the president in Lagos State, where he was a former governor and has been de facto leader for more than 20 years and counting? So when you look at the entire fiasco and scenario, you will see that there is a great level of mischief amongst political class in Nigeria, where we want to celebrate a day but fail to hold ourselves to the dictates and the principles of that day. Imagine someone who is a core Muslim telling you that I do not believe in the 5 pillars of Islam, I do not believe in the prophet, the holy prophet Muhammad, or a Christian telling you I do not believe in Jesus Christ. If you must believe in a democracy, democracy is built on free, fair, and credible elections, because power must come from the people. So anybody who is talking about democracy and is not committing to free and fair elections where power comes from the people, where the people can hold you accountable and say, if we are dissatisfied, we can vote you out. If you are not committed to such a system of electoral reform and stopping irregularities, then we are just trying to put the cart before the horse, and we are just deceiving ourselves. So Hope 93 and 2023 today, or 2025, what exactly has been the implementation of those aspects vis-a-vis achieving a democracy that is truly powered by the people?
Right. Peter. So let me come to you, Kemi, quickly now with the same question. Even if the Renewed Hope agenda were copy and paste, has it held true to the ideals of the Hope 93 manifesto of late MKO Abiola?
Let me first start by saying that the Renewed Hope agenda was not copy and paste. Indeed, if you do have a copy of that agenda, a copy of that manifesto, so to speak, that the president put together, you would realize that virtually everything that he did say that he was going to do in that particular manifesto is what he is implementing today. And the document is there online for people to see. Does it reflect what MKO Abiola wanted to do? The times have changed and the times are different. Even at that, one of the things I did say earlier was the fact that there is no magic wand to fix the rot that has crept up on us since 1993. The unfortunate thing that many Nigerians have come to see, with our democracy and with the miracle centers that are happening in Nigeria, is that people believe that there is a miracle to fixing it. Some of the things that have been done by the current president were done because there was no other way out. People ask that where is the savings from subsidy, but they forget that we were actually borrowing to subsidize. Now, the Renewed Hope agenda, as the Hope 93, at the time when Abiola was making some of the promises that he made for Hope 93, one of the things he did mention, was that there will be education, free education and all of that. Today, at that time, our population was far less, probably about 50% less than what it is today. But here we are today in the year 25, with a burgeoning population of young people who have access to the internet. And so one of the things the president is doing, to the best of my knowledge, is the 3MTT, where you can learn online and be able to sell your skills internationally. For me, that's part of the Renewed Hope we signed for. There is the part of it where the young technical colleges that have gone comatose are now being reopened for people to come in, because the blue-collar jobs in Nigeria have completely gone haywire. Many people are importing people to come and do those blue-collar jobs. But now there is a system in place that if you want to go to a technical college, you will even get paid, right? I think about 45,000 to be able to access that. Now, unfortunately, like I said, many Nigerians are looking forward to a miracle that is a one-size-fits-all solution for everything, and that's not going to happen. What we require is a step-by-step movement, towards the hope we're looking forward to. And like I usually say, if you're looking for hope, you will find it. Some people have found that renewed hope in this government, and they're saying that, okay, there's a semblance of the Hope 93 in what we currently have today. Now, there was I think the gentleman mentioned the aspect of free and fair elections. The fact that something is repeated over and over again will not necessarily make it the truth. And that's another thing we need to be careful with and careful of as young people. The last elections, for the first time since 1999, the APC, which is...
And just when she was about to make a point from the last election.
We can see get her in. Kemi, are you there?
Are you there, Kemi?
I am here.
All right,
okay,
land on your thoughts.
Land on that point.
You were freezing. You have 30 seconds.
Okay,
here.
I don't know at which point. Okay, I don't know at which point I froze, but I wanted to just add that there is no election that is freer and fairer than an election where the candidate who had never lost since 1999, that particular place in which is his home state, actually lost, and the election was won by another party. I think that as a people, sometimes we need to sit back and truly ask ourselves the questions that matter and see things for what they are. If Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has never lost Lagos in the last election, I don't think there is any election that is freer and fairer than that. And I think we should be fair to each other too.
All right, Kemi, thank you so much. Kemi Asekong Shitu, member of the APC Media Consultant. Peter Aka, Randy Peters, we call him, joining us from our Abuja studio. Thank you both for your position. The whole idea for this conversation is for young people to have a seat on the table and navigate the paths of their future. We have a lot to fix. We've made some progress, which is why I asked personal question before party position. It was a very deliberate question, but I must thank you both. Thank you.
Thank you very much.